Hey, babe. Hello, all, and welcome to the Affluent Marriage Podcast. You're listening to one profit coach and one educator talk about living a rich and full marriage through generational wealth building principles, authentic two-way communication strategies, and everything in between to become a couple that lives in love and walks in wealth. Your legacy begins here. How you doing today?
You know, I'm really good. It's the afternoon again. So if you were watching or listening to last episode, we are loving the mid-afternoon.
It's just a different vibe.
Recording sessions.
I love not holding back yawns the entire episode, right?
Yes, because normally our calls are like recordings are like 10 o'clock at night. Because, you know, you got to do what you got to do. So doing in the middle in the afternoon is wonderful, but we're going to have to sadly say goodbye to them after next week because you'll be back at work. Sad day.
So we've got some big things happening that we need to start talking about. This month, we are only going to be putting out 2 exclusive episodes for GramFam instead of 4.
Why?
Why?
Guys.
Wouldn't you like to know?
Wouldn't you like to know?
We're actually in the process of coming up with something incredible
I'm really excited about
we're going to offer to you guys, and it's not going to be on Red Circle.
It's not. So we are in the process of kind of like taking the next step up. So if you're listening to this in real time, get ready. Okay. After the fact, you probably already know about this. So we're actually going to be creating something that's exclusive, that is its own product, because what we really want is for, like, listen, you can read as many books as you want on finances and on what the next steps that you should do and what overarching things that should be done. And okay, so what action have you taken as a result of it, right? And so we thought we would create a product that would help you understand the exact steps that you need to take every single week, right? Imagine if there was a to-do list every single week that you needed to be like, do this, do this, do this, do this between you and your spouse to help you with your finances. And if you did it, if you followed every task list and you listened to the reason why you do this task list, you would, by the end of a month, 2 months, 3 months, be in a completely different place financially than you were when you started. And so we thought, you know what, instead of filling it with like a bunch of fluff, not that our stories are fluff, like we like our stories and all that stuff, but what you're looking for is actual action steps. So we thought we'd package and create exactly what we did to be able to pay off $76,000 in 28 months, to be able to have a sustainable business model that's debt-free, to be able to, create like our real estate profile. Like, this is our first space that we're going to be renting, and there's going to be more from here on out. How did we get to this place from 2 educators who were making $60,000 combined with $76,000 worth of debt and no clue what to do with their money, to a couple that is connecting with each other, has very big dreams and goals, is taking every step and every precaution to make sure that they are building a legacy with their finances, with their communication with each other. How do you get there? And we're literally packaging it up, and every single week we're telling you how.
So no worries. The podcast is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. You're still going to get content. We have this podcast mapped out for the next 6 months.
For years.
For years. For the next 6 months, we have content. We have themes. The fact of the matter, though, is these episodes are upwards to an hour plus long. Mm-hmm. And for a lot of people, taking in that many episodes, that much content every single week, it's tough for them to keep up with.
Yeah.
So we're absolutely going to keep this going. There's still going to be exclusive content. So if you're a part of GramFam, absolutely stick around. We'll still be putting out episodes for you every month. But pocket coaching, like you said, is that short blast. It's short and sweet. It's succinct. It's actionable.
Yep.
It's going to get you from point A to point Z. Listen to the podcast. You're going to hear great things.
Oh, yeah.
The themes that we talk about, the content that we talk about, It's great. It's amazing. But we wanted something that was almost like a syllabus, because, we got that teacher in us. We want to give you some curriculum, something that's just like, do this, 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 and you will reach success.
Yep.
Hands down.
Hands down. So, yeah. So more information to come on that. We could totally talk a whole episode just about it, but we're not going to. There's more to come and there's more to record. So when we get to that point, you will know. And you definitely want to make sure that you take advantage of it. It's so useful. And I'm really excited that we came up with an idea of creating this product because I think it's really going to help a lot of people, give them a very accessible way to reach the desired wealth that they want.
You want to talk about a great episode. Today we have a great episode for this podcast. So if you're listening today, you're going to walk away and you're going to be ready.
Yes.
To get to work. Because we're talking about a lot of the things that hold you back from taking that next step or that first step, whatever it is.
This is a good one.
You have to get to work. Like how bad do you, we say it all the time, how bad do you want it?
It's a very interesting thing. So like we talked a while ago in one of our exclusive episodes about motivation versus discipline. And it's a very good episode to listen to if you're on Gram Fam. And if you want to know more about that, just check the link in the description. Because this is the deal. Like we can motivate ourselves to death. Right? Like you're going to be on your deathbed going, I know exactly what I need to do. Like I knew what I needed to do to be successful. I just didn't do it, or I didn't follow through with it. It's that discipline that marries that's really the engine behind it all, right? Like that's the thing that's going to keep you going no matter what. You have to stay disciplined. So, this kind of goes right into it. Like how bad do you want it? Are you willing to do make the tough decisions? The people who are actually successful are not successful because they took the easy way out of being like, oh, well, I guess I'm just going to sit back and be lazy and chill. Like, no, they made tough decisions.
So here's where we're going today. I want to quickly remind people where we've been our last couple episodes and take us into our first point. So our last freebie that we gave away the previous week for all those listening were the benefits of budgeting together with your spouse. And if you didn't listen to that, it's an incredible listen to find out the importance of working together with your spouse and how much more you'll accomplish with them than without. Yeah. And for Gram Fam, we broke down the difference, or really the positives and the negatives of cash versus credit.
Yeah, that was a good episode too.
And we weighed each and we found out really why we chose what we chose. And for you, it may be different.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And that's really important for you to decipher and really, I think, go to the core of it. Why do you feel like you have to do one thing or another? Is it because it feels like you get somewhere faster? But is it truly there faster? And you might be experiencing it, but financially, are you behind, right?
Anyway, gotta have that end goal in mind.
There's a lot of things in there.
So there's a lot of factors that contribute to inaction or a lack of taking action. Mm-hmm. So we're going to go over some of those common causes of inaction today. The first of which is the fear of failure.
Man, that's a good one.
Fear of failure is a significant barrier that can prevent people from taking that action. Mm-hmm. The fear of making mistakes, of facing criticism, of experiencing setbacks, that can paralyze somebody. Yep.
So much so that it leads to you not moving anywhere. And sometimes we can get blinded by our current situation and say, well, I would much rather be here in a place where I know what's going to happen, I know what the next step is, than take the leap of trying something different. Because what if I fail? What if it doesn't work? What if? And a lot of times the mind will create all of these crazy circumstances of what could happen, and it hasn't even happened, right? Like I've heard one thing where, what if you, instead of thinking about what could happen, what if, like the negative, what if you thought about, but what if this happened, right? In the midst of all of that, what if this happened? Would it be worth it to you? And honestly, like that's a
It's 1,000% my mindset right now. So if you're not familiar with where I'm at, I'm currently looking for part-time jobs on top of my full-time job in education because I'm just not satisfied. I'll never be satisfied. I want more.
I will never be
and I want
satisfied.
things faster. And I know that you have a business that has no ceiling on your income. For sure, you can go out there and get it. But my job has a ceiling. Yeah. So the only way for me to make more, to contribute to this partnership, to this power couple that we are, is I have to go out and find additional work, right? Yeah. So we've created this work together with the podcast and with the Pocket Coach and all that. And I love that. And I'm not done with that. I want to keep doing that. But I also want to hustle on the side too. Yeah. So if I had this fear of failure and I said, oh, well, nobody wants me, or nobody will take me for a part-time job, or, oh, I don't have the qualifications for this job. Like, I have a lot of the qualifications, but I don't have this part. Like, they'll never take me. I'm just not going to.
Paralyzed.
I'm not going to apply.
Yeah.
Like, that's a terrible mindset. Like, you can't have that fear. Like, I love what you said. Like, the what if it does happen?
What if it does?
And that's where I'm at. Like, what if I do get this part-time job? What if I do work 10 to 20 hours a week remotely? Like, what can that do for us in the next month, the next 2 months, the next 6 months, till year's close? Like, we can do so much more quickly.
Than if we said, oh, no, it's just never going to happen. Let's just be stuck.
I know for you, sometimes you have you used to have fear of failure with, like, reaching out to potential clients and having that conversation. Like,
it is still something that I made a post about it on my Facebook today. I hate selling. I really don't like, cold DMing. I don't like, creating relationship out of thin air and like pitching. I don't like it. That's not my style. I don't like when it's done to me. Every person that I've connected with or purchased from or partnered with is because I've had a relationship with them via, and I don't know why I didn't piece the two together, networking, right? Simply because they might have known someone that I knew and they were like, hey, I know this person, you know this person. And that person was like, oh yeah, this person is amazing. She helped me with blah, 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 blah. I'm immediately going to be like 10 times out of 10, hey, can you help me with this? Because so-and-so said you're amazing, so I'm going to work with you.
Those referrals are a big deal.
That doesn't scare me in the least bit to ask that. Same thing. I've had 2 people come to me via referrals, the easiest sales I've ever had to make because I made it work for me. But if you take me out of that environment, I am scared. Like, I have that fear of failure. What if I ask them and they don't know me and they're going to shut me down? And, this is for truth, has happened many, many times. I asked 10 people if they wanted to work with me today and they all said no. Like, I'm a failure. It sucks. Nobody cares about understanding their finances, which is totally false. Totally false. That's just a part of it. That's just
right. You've got to look at it.
You decided to be an entrepreneur. Failure, rejection, all of that comes with it. But you also get the other side where you get amazing relationships. You get, amazing results from clients that decide to work with you. You get to learn how to build a business that's not even including the fact that you're going to make money from clients that are perfectly aligned with you. That's just a part of the process to weed out the people who are not for you. It's just part of the process.
It's all about planting the seeds. You talk to 10 people and 10 people said no, but you have to have that positive mindset and think to yourself, all right, they said no to me right now.
Yeah.
Right? There's still a tomorrow. Like, yes, they're not in that place right now. They want to work with me. Mm-hmm. I'm amazing. But they're not at that place right now. Yeah. So I'll connect with them again in a month.
Yep.
I'll connect with them again in 6 months or a year. Right? When someone tells you no, don't think of it as this permanent, forever. Don't ever talk to that person again because they'll never come back. It's no right now.
Especially if they're still interacting. Like, that's the crazy part. If you're an entrepreneur, you understand this, right? Because not everyone has his ego. Like, his ego is so intense. My ego is not that
intense. Just a little bit.
He has been making, pitches to these different businesses to do part-time work. And he's like, I'm amazing. Of course they're going to want me. That is the furthest thing from my mind personally for myself. Like, I have to hype myself up to get to that point, right?
I did. I made my resume the other day and I actually sent it to you and I sent it to a few other friends and I was like, y'all, read this.
Yeah.
How good do I sound?
Right. It's so funny. Like, and the thing is, like, I know that we've accomplished a lot. If I write my resume, I'm like, wow, I've accomplished a lot. But I'm not accomplished. What if they don't see? Like, I will immediately go there. So you have to hype yourself up, right? But you can't let that fear of failure paralyze you from what could be. Like, what a thief that you're going to let just the unknown paralyze you from going after what you really, truly desire, because that happiness, that joy, that fulfillment you're going to get from actually being able to achieve what you desire is 10 million times worth going through the valley.
What is that movie that I've never seen where Ryan Gosling is like, what do you want?
Oh, that's The Notebook. I can't believe I still haven't notebooked you.
Yeah, no.
It needs to happen.
At this point, it's just not going to happen, I feel like.
No, it's a good movie.
We're 20 plus years into our relationship and I've not been notebooked. Like, let's just...
I feel like I need to notebook you.
Let's just move on.
It's a good movie. And also Ryan Gosling, chef's kiss.
I mean, he's in Remember the Titans.
It's true.
He's that cornerback.
And also, I think he reminds me of you. Like, okay, can I tell you something that's a little bit off the cuff?
Sure.
So Barbie just came out not too long ago, right? And Ryan Gosling is married to Ava Longoria, who is the chick from Hitch, that Hitch like has a romantic connection with.
Yes.
Okay. So that's his
in the
wife.
movie or in real life?
In the movie.
So that's she bounced from Tony Parker with the Spurs.
Oh, is that who she was with?
And now she's with Ryan Gosling. Wow.
Yeah. But they have like 2 kids together. Like they have like a whole family.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So anyway, they've been together for a while. So anyway, so like
T's and P's for TP. Thoughts and prayers for Tony Parker.
I don't even know who that is, but okay.
It's okay.
But anyway,
T's and P's.
Eva. So anyway, so Ryan Gosling is Ken in Barbie, and there's no like sex or anything in the movie, but he has to be very close to obviously Barbie, and so he's in a lot of like what's it called, interviews with her, and they'll ask him questions about like how pretty she is or what'd she think about this. And there was this one question that an interviewer asked Barbie, the chick who plays Barbie, Margot, and she said, oh, you know, like we had a Barbie sleepover and the Kens were invited, but they couldn't stay because obviously like that's not what Barbies are like. No boys allowed. It's always girls night. And she was like, but Ryan couldn't come. And he was like, I didn't want to be there. Like, why would I? Like, what am I, 10 years old? And he was joking completely. Like he was totally being like, no, I couldn't come. But he was just like, why would I? And he was just being stupid. But I was like, no, I understand that. I understand that vibe. That is 100% what my husband would do. He would not step foot. Like, no, I don't want to be there. I'm going to be home with my wife and kids.
Yep.
And it just reminded me, I was like, this is something that Daniel would say like 110 million % and joke about it.
Well, we are so far
anyway, that
off
wasn't
the route.
that bad. That
but
was
the point here is I was making is where he says, what do you want? Because there's a lot of overwhelm and indecision. And that's our next point,
okay.
right? When
that was a good segue. People laughed and then they got to the second point.
I'm sure. And if they're not laughing with us, they're laughing at us. So,
That's
you know,
fine.
either way.
I'll take it.
Gotta laugh. Gotta laugh.
Mm-hmm.
When you're faced with a complex or overwhelming task, people may struggle to know where to start, how to proceed. It's almost like they need pocket coaching. But this indecision can result in inaction as individuals become stuck in their state of analysis paralysis.
Oh, God, my gosh. Analysis paralysis is a real thing. Oh, my goodness. Guys,
It even keeps you from sleep at night.
It keeps you from
I'll wake up the next morning and be like, babe, like,
Goodness
what time did you go to bed last
gracious.
night? She's like, 3 a.m. I'm like, doing what?
So, okay. So that's only happened a couple of times.
Yes. But it reminds me of my anxiety days. So I do understand, but go for it.
But you can literally, analysis paralysis also comes with anxiety. Like you can be up all night trying to figure out something and you're going to be over analyzing to the T, like the tiny things, like what could I do? I could do this, I could do that, and I can't imagine the amount of people who are doing that all the time because of their cash flow. They're constantly indecisive because they just don't know where their money is going. Like they're just constantly like, oh my gosh, but if I move this from here, then this, and then like they're like over here, like the, you know, like the FBI dude with like all the red string. Like they're trying to figure out how to make it work, and they do that day in and day out, and that's exhausting. Like that is affecting your sleep. Like that might happen to me every once in a blue moon because of whatever situation that's going on. But my gosh, you're losing years of your life just being indecisive about what you know you want. Like it's worse than going to the going to a dinner and going, which one do you want? And you're like, I don't know what I want. And you're just like, just choose one. You can always come back later. It's worse than that.
You got to think about what you can manage in that moment.
That has been a phrase we use often.
Small. So something that can be overwhelming for us recently was all of these expenses that we've had this year that we've paid in cash.
Yeah.
But some of the deadlines, I hate deadlines. Some of the deadlines were coming up sooner than we thought or had liked.
Yeah.
So, you know, it started to become a bit overwhelming, I would say, in our feelings about trips. We're being
very
because
vague.
I have children in the background.
Yes.
But it was becoming a bit overwhelming with all these deadlines and these dates and these numbers. And we're like, I think we need to make a decision. So, you know, we made a decision because it was becoming overwhelming to postpone.
Yeah.
And coincidentally enough, here we are at the time of this recording, just yesterday.
A Thursday, yeah.
We were heating something in the oven. And Kim's like, babe, this is taking a really long time for something basic to happen. Like we were trying to melt some cheese on some tacos. And she was like, does it always take this long? And I was just kind of like, yeah. It takes a little bit of time. Give it some time. 10 minutes go by. I walk over and open up the oven. I reach my hand in, and it is like lukewarm inside this oven. So turns out our oven's broken. Just the inside. The top burners still work, but yes, the inside is broken. So I'm just thinking how this could have been if we decided, no, we're doing this. That deadline's coming up September 4th. We need to have X amount of dollars for it. We're going to grind for it. And then something like life happens and your oven breaks. Like that would have just like thrown us in a frenzy.
It would have been annoying. And I would have been so like, that's the reason for my recent overwhelm and indecision and analysis paralysis is because I was just like, what should I do? What should I do? What should I do? And we'd already made the decision. Let's just postpone it. Like, it's not worth the energy to do this. This is not a money-making
And that
activity.
wasn't an easy decision. We had to really weigh the pros and cons of it. And you definitely had
I had feelings.
Some feelings for about 48
hours. I'm
hours.
so glad we didn't tell them. Because that would have been a really hard thing to break down. But it was hard. It was not an easy decision. But again, the wealthiest people didn't make easy decisions to get to where they are. They had to make hard decisions. And this was a hard decision to delay gratification for being able to take care of the things that were top priority.
But it was very manageable for us because we know the steps to take to navigate that. And not everyone does. Yeah. And I'm going to keep saying it. That's why pocket coaching is going to be so important for you.
Yeah. You have to reprioritize when you're getting to that overwhelming space, to reprioritize and have that like heart to heart with yourself and be the adult. Can we just call it like it is? You have to be an adult. And adult decisions are not always the most fun decisions. They're just not. So you have to be the adult and say, okay, this is actually more important than my instant gratification that I desire from this particular thing. I'm going to be an adult. I'm going to have my little pity party, but I'm going to make the adult decision because I know that in the long run, I'm going to be better off for it. Future me 6 months from now is going, good job. I know that was a really hard decision, but I'm so proud of you. And that's how you do it. Now you can't make those priorities very distinctive and figure it out unless you have direction. And a lot of people, what causes them to like not make moves is that they have no clarity and no direction. I was just talking to a client recently. She just emailed me and is like, I need to understand about my day-to-day budget, but also should I give to my kids 529? Should I invest more? What about my taxes? And how much should I have in my savings? Should I have this much in my savings or this much in my savings? I'm thinking of doing $1,000 a month. And I don't know what the whole, like, what should I have in there? 50,000, 30,000, 20,000? That's a lot of questions in one email. To which I told her, honey, we can't do all of these things at one time unless you understand. And this is the thing, when you have no direction and you have no guide and no pathway to know this is step one, everything is procedural. This is step one. You have to figure this out first for the rest of the pathway to be clear. And for a majority of financial decisions, it starts with, do you even understand what the day-to-day needs of your finances are? Do you understand what's happening to your miscellaneous money? Do you understand, like, this is how much money comes in, this is how much money comes out, this is how much we save on a given basis, on a given month, this is where, do you know those statistics off the top of your head? If you don't, that's where you start. And you make sure that you have a plan there so then you can actually create direction. But without that, you're going to constantly be in a state of, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do?
You're never going to win playing fortune cookie finances.
No.
Cracking that sucker open, reading the label, and it says, invest in 529s today, and your life will be great. And you're like, okay, I guess I got to invest in 529s. You crack open another fortune cookie. Put $200 to your savings because that would be wise. Let me put $200. Crack open another fortune cookie. Pay off a debt. Like you're just picking and choosing. You're like, okay, I know all of these wise sayings. People have told me like I should have a savings, or I should invest in my children, or I should have retirement, or I should pay off debts, or I should leverage my debt, or I should have credit cards for emergency funds, or maybe I should have my own cash emergency fund, or like there's so much wisdom and philosophies and knowledge out there. And if you're just picking and grabbing things like fortune cookies,
you're not going to get anywhere.
You're not going to get anywhere.
All of those are good things, but in the wrong order, you're going to be screwed and not consistent. right?
And there's just different philosophies. Like, do you want the cash emergency fund or do you want the credit card emergency fund?
We talked about that last week. And
last episode we did.
We went.
Do you want a small savings? Do you want 3 month savings? Do you want 6 month savings? Do you want 12 months savings?
Depends on the person, right?
Yeah.
And right. So like to your point, like saying like, oh, for open the fortune cookie, oh, $250. That's what I should save today. And so then you're like really proud of yourself, but are you doing that on a consistent basis? Okay, you did it for 1 month. Great. Good for you. Proud of you. But if you're not doing that consistently, that $250 just did nothing. Like, so we have to have a plan. So without clarity or direction, you're going to be stuck. You're going to stay in the quicksand. It's just slowed it down a little bit because you maybe had an ounce of clarification, which again is why the pocket coaching is going to be great.
Right. There are a lot of ways.
Because we're literally going to tell you, this is what you do this week. This is what you do next week. And we're talking to you. It's audio. So we're literally telling you step by step, this is what you need to do. And there's also weeks in there that we've planned where we ask you to go back and make sure, not go back to the first episode, but like review to be like, are these still things great? Are these things still great? Are they still running well? Great. We're helping you build in the habits of being a good manager of your finances, not just doing it once and going, I did it once, so everything's fine, right? Like, no, you have to go back and you have to make sure everything is still running the way you want it to run.
Right. Without a clear sense of purpose or direction, it can be a challenge to take action, right? When individuals lack a specific goal or a vision, they can feel unsure about what steps to take, which results in inertia. They're just
hanging,
stagnant. They're just chilling. Right? So there's a lot of ways to get wealthy. There's a lot of ways to get rich. There's a lot of ways to get broke too, but you have to have a pathing. You have to have stepping stones.
And to that understanding of getting broke, right, or becoming broke, I think a lot of us know that way. That's I think a lot of us
could all
have
write a book
practiced
on
that.
how to get broke.
You know, we should. How to get broke.
It'll be a one-pager.
It'll be a one-pager. Don't listen to anything. Don't invest in any type of like coaching to help you support you.
Just YOLO it.
Just blow your money. Just blow it. Get a credit card. Like, we all know the ways to blow your money and make horrible decisions. And I think that we lean more on those thoughts and tactics as opposed to the things that you should do to become wealthy. So what do you want? What do you want? Do you want to be wealthy or do you want to be broke? It really is that simple.
This next one's going to hit a lot of people because this is how a lot of people got through. If they went to college, they got through their college programs and courses and even their masters. This is a big word.
Yeah. Procrastination?
Yes.
Oh, I wanted to say it together.
Procrastination.
Procrastinate. Stop it. Procrastinate.
You're doing great. Procrastination. Right? Delaying or postponing tasks. You know it. I know it. You've got that paper that's due and it's due tomorrow and you should probably have started it 2 weeks ago, but here we are the day before and you're not even going to start it that morning. You're just going to think about, man, I really wish I should have started that a week ago. Like, I wish I would have done this then because that would have been so much better than now. And then you sit there and you think about all day and you go to lunch or whatever. You come back and you're like, okay.
It's still there.
Let me come up with some ideas of what this is going to be about or whatever. And it's not till like after dinner and you're like, crap, it's like 6 o'clock at night and this thing's due by midnight. And then you start like typing.
Okay.
Procrastination.
You know that person. There's a person listening to this.
But then they're like, I do my best work when I procrastinate.
I was going to say.
That paper was actually legit. Like, I got an A on that paper.
Yep. They're going to be like, it worked out for me because I did it in the last minute. That
probably because your professor procrastinated and waited till the last minute to get the grades in. And they're like, crap, well, this person wrote 5 pages. So
it works. No, I feel like procrastination is a really big deal. I think anyone who went to university, would say, or like even undergrad, even if they went to college or high school, they would say the same thing. That is sometimes where your best work comes in. So I think it's important to like peel back the layers. Why is that? Is it because the deadline was looming closer that you worked even harder? So how can you use that same thought process and give yourself that like deadline of, I want to, let's just say, for example, retire at the age of 40. That's what I want. That's my deadline. So I'm going to use that as my metaphorical, it's due at midnight and I'm going to grind as hard as I can. Because although it's going to be like me eating, like staying up all night, having my glasses in, listening to music, getting in the zone or whatever, what do I need to do to make sure I have that same feeling in my finances so I can reach my goals even faster. And then I can just chill. Like sometimes, like, I don't know, but procrastination in general is that postponing of tasks. And I can't tell you how many people will know that there's a task up there. Like, I should save money. I should understand what's going on with my finances. I'll do that next month because this month I have a party and this month I have this stuff. And I just don't want someone telling me what to do with my money right now. So
yeah, there's actually a law for that. It's called, I believe it's called Parkinson's law.
Ooh.
And basically what it means is, if I got this word correct, I know that it's a law and that I believe it's Parkinson's law. But basically, however much time you allot to something, the work will fill that time.
Yes.
So if I give you a week to accomplish a task, it's going to take that entire week. Like you're going to fill that void of time with things to get that work done.
So true.
That same task, if I give you 3 days to do it, it's going to get done in 3 days.
You know what's interesting? That's very true. And it's a lot of times those things that we think are going to take a long period of time to get like done. And then when we actually give ourselves the space to be like, I'm sitting down, I'm getting it done. It really only takes like 30 minutes. So I find that happens a lot with, I have clients and I tell them, okay, the first task I need you to do is go back 30 days and I need you to organize your income or organize your expenses. Anybody can do this. You should do this. If this was something that was like, I should do that.
Nailed it.
It was Parkinson's law.
Mm-hmm.
So good job. So they'll do it and they're so like aware. Oh my gosh, this is going to take forever. Oh my God. What if I'm not done by next week? And I'm like, so get it done. Like, I promise you it's probably not as bad. Get as much done as you can. And they, get back in the DMs with me and they're like, oh my gosh, it only took like 45 minutes to do. That's it. And I'm like, yup. It doesn't take as much time as you think it does. It doesn't take that much time to budget like you think it does.
So what you need to tell your clients is you don't have till next week. Tell them by the end of the night.
Right. I feel like I need to just make that like space even like shorter to be like, I'm meeting with you in 2 days. You need to have this done by then. Make time for it, because you can try and create time, but we know that hasn't been the case in the last however many years of you doing your finances yourself. So we need to give you that little bit of that procrastination medicine of saying you've got 18 hours, get it done, So
whether it's lack of motivation or poor time management or your tendencies to prioritize your short-term gratifications over your long-term goals, procrastination is a real thing and it keeps us from acting.
It's stealing your wealth building.
I'm going to apply for those jobs, but I'll do it later.
Yeah.
I still got a little bit more time.
Oof. If you want tips that from a power couple to another power couple of how we manage our day-to-day to be able to raise our kids, do fun things with our kids, build businesses, how I manage my business with a team, and how we're able to still have time for each other.
That's right. Don't sleep.
Don't ever sleep.
That's the tip.
That's the tip. We're just up all the time.
No, if you know my wife, she gets that good sleep.
I love sleep. We have really, I feel like, I'm not going to say perfected, but we have done a really great job of creating a balance between us. And we should probably talk about that if that's something you're interested in.
In pocket
coaching. Ooh, we could in pocket coaching talk more about that. But speaking of perfectionism, right? That's another thing, right? So we have perfected this, but it's constantly something we're working on. It's not something that we're like, okay. But perfectionism, that striving for perfection, can hinder action, as individuals may feel the need for everything to be flawless before taking any steps. Can I tell you, you know this, how many people will come up to me and go, I really would love to work with you, Kim, but I'm working on my savings right now and I'm doing a really great job. I'm going to make sure I get this much in there before I work with you.
Yes, we've talked about this. They're putting the cart before the horse, right? They're doing things out of order. It's backwards. It's saying, hey, I'm going to lose some weight first before I hire that fitness trainer to help me lose weight. It's like, no.
No, that's backwards.
You hire the fitness trainer to lose you don't lose the weight and then go see the person. It's like, right. I'm going to take care of my teeth first and then I'll go to the dentist and have them take care. Although I actually legitimately do that. I need to make sure my floss game is on point because I don't want to be bleeding everywhere when I go to see the cleaner.
Yeah.
But all that said, people are putting the cart in front of the horse, right? They're like, this has to be absolutely perfect before I take that. In fact, you were telling me that the difference between, whether it's between you and I or, maybe we're saying men and women, kind of like generalizing here, but you were talking about resumes and how...
Oh, women are, yep.
or like they're applying for a job, but they're going to make sure that they can cross off every, checkbox for the qualifications for that job. And you were saying men may not do that.
Literally, case in point, you just said it. Like you've been like going out for jobs that you're like,
I
could
apply
do
for
that.
everything.
He found a job, a part-time remote job from Disney Plus, and he was like, I could do that.
Oh, just for Disney? Absolutely.
And
although that was
really
like
funny.
Educational consultant. I was
Which
like,
you totally could.
I could be a project manager and help you.
Yes. But it was just really funny because like any job that he saw, even if he didn't meet all of the requirements, he was like, I could do that. I could do that. But females would most likely look at the job description or look at what's needed before you get in there. And they'll be like, oh, but I'm missing this. And we'll focus on the lack of what we have and then decide that it's not enough. Like we're not going to be able to do that. So we opt for things that are lower. We opt for things that we completely 110% fulfill what they're asking for. And that is causing us to lose more money in the long run. Like we need to go for those jobs that if we fill a couple of those criteria and we know that we're teachable and able to learn, go for it.
I love that people wait to get their money right though to see you. I was like, no, don't wait to get your money right to see Kim. Like see her now. Like you're wasting time. Like she can help you get your money even better than whatever you think is right. Like whatever your right is, trust me, it's not as good as Kim's right. Like Kim will get you there, but you need to trust and believe in the results that she's shown to countless people. If anything, stop waiting.
If anything, I boost what you've already put in place that took you 6 months to figure out. I'm going to be able to boost that in 1 month to get you to a place where you're like, shoot, I never would have thought of that.
How many people were like, man, I wish I came to you sooner? Or like
every single client has said, man, I wish I came to you sooner. Like I was making so much money 2 years ago before I got into this point because I hired you when I was at like my valley. And now that you're teaching me these things, if we had hired you and we were making bank, we would still be making bank. What in the world? I'm so mad at myself. Like,
right. People,
like I hear it and I'm like, thank you. But also, like I wish more people would stop procrastinating or waiting for the perfection and be like, I have to make sure everything is perfect. I have to make sure that the only criteria I have for my clients is that you have a stream of income, whether that's from your 9 to 5, whether it's from your business, but there needs to be some consistent cash flow coming in because we can't build a system and then, build a funnel or whatever for your business or for your cash flow and there's no cash flow coming through, right? That's the only criteria I have. And so I'm like, you're waiting for it to be perfect. And I'm telling you, there is no such thing. There's no such thing. You just got to do it.
I keep talking about it, but it just goes hand in hand so well. Like how many people wait until they go to the doctor and the doctor says, hey, your blood sugar, your blood pressure, your whatever, like you need to exercise X amount of times a week or whatever. Yeah. And then people are like, oh man, I need to get myself together, right? They wait until they're at that threshold of like they're in the valley or they're plus 200 some pounds or whatever. And they're like, yep. How did I get here?
Like I had that idea like 100 pounds ago.
But now it's like they've given themselves, they got the bad news from like the dentist or the doctor. Right. And they're like, oh, now I got to go do something. Like don't wait until you're in the valley. Don't wait until you're in despair. Oof. Like take action now while things are good or while things are just like okay.
Yeah. I would much rather the fact that I talked about this too in one of my...
Yeah, we hate that word.
I hate the word okay because it's so vague. When you say, I'm okay, you're vague. It's so vague. That okay is keeping you from being like, oh no, I know for a fact we are excelling. Here's how I know. I have facts. Here's all the numbers. Here's all the things. I know exactly where we are and we're doing fantabulous, right? You want to be able to be so specific about where you are in your finances and your business and all that stuff that okay, what does that even mean? That's so vague. That to me is like, you're on the way to being broke. Everything is okay. No, it's not okay. It really isn't. Moving on.
Now,
sorry.
You're a little spicy on the podcast, but the true Kim Graham is sweet as pie, right? And at times that can be a detriment to you.
Yes.
Because at times it causes you to lack that confidence or that tenaciousness, that ferocity. Case in point, the other day you were in one of your networking groups.
You're funny.
And you were talking to the leader of that group because you paid money to be in this group and You're a VIP in this group, which means you get to go live and say things and advertise yourself and market yourself and whatever. And I remember you being in a chat with her and you were asking her basically like, is it okay if I do, like you almost like walking on eggshells. Like, is it okay if I do this? Is it cool if I do that? And I'm different than that.
He's so mad every time I have these conversations.
I'm the type of person that's going to be like, I paid to get in. I paid to be here. Like, I'm going to do this and ask for forgiveness later, right? You're asking for permission. I'm asking for forgiveness. Like, let me do this and just see what happens and see what people say. And if I went too far, I went too far. Like, my bad. I'll tone it back. Whereas you want to make sure everything's okay before you take that aggressive step and say, let me put myself out there, right? So lack of confidence can absolutely be something that leads to inaction.
And if you want to know, right, if true transparency, the thing that keeps Kim, it's obviously not Dan, but Kim, from growing her business to as big as it possibly could be, it's the lack of confidence. So I want you to know I'm with you on this one, right? But with this lack of confidence, you have an option. You can either say, okay, I'm going to act in spite of my lack of confidence and learn how to be more confident, or I'm going to say, I just don't have the confidence to do it. I could never do it. It's just not something I'm going to do. And you decide to stay stagnant. And I refuse to stay stagnant because there's this other part of me that has these really big dreams and goals that I'm like, confidence sometimes has to move aside. So when I'm doing something like this podcast, video podcast, nobody else is looking at me, right? So it's easy for me to say exactly what's on my mind and be able to say, that was dumb. Because I'm not looking at a particular person. I'm not looking at a human being. But somehow being in a networking space where other people are looking at me, other people are hearing me, other people are going to gauge and create their own personal perspective of who I am, opinion about who I am. I take that I'm a people pleaser at heart. It's something that I have to temper. I have to balance it. Like, you can't worry about how everyone else thinks about you. You have to put your whole self out there, and you know your integrity, and you know that you're a good person. You know that you want the good for every single person that's there. So say what it is you need to say. It might hurt some feelings, but I guarantee you it'll bring truth to a lot of those people. I have to say that verse to myself all the time. Whatever is truth, whatever is noble, whatever is kind, whatever is lovely, whatever uplifts or whatever the verse says. And I'm like, okay, if everything I say falls in line with that scripture, I can say it. And it doesn't mean that it's going to make you feel happy and butterfly and, oh, that was so nice of you to say all the time. Because when you are teaching and when you are... when you're teaching, I guess it's the best way to do it. When you're correcting, it has to be said with love, but it's going to hit. It's going to hit hard. And it might cause you to be like, whoa, I need to change some things. And sometimes that juxtaposition is difficult for me, but you have to decide, right? As a person in your finances, if you have lack of confidence that you could do whatever it is that you want to do, whether it's invest more, buy that home, make that decision, whatever it is, you have to decide. Again, going back to how bad do you want it? And are you really going to let your lack of belief be the thing that causes you never to go full force after the things you desire?
With a lack of confidence, it's either two things. You either are doubting your own capabilities of what you can do and what you can offer. And that I don't think is your issue. I think you fully believe in your ability and what you can do. Or if you lack confidence on the other side of it, it's worrying about what others might think.
Yes.
And for you, it is your greatest strength. It is one of the reasons why I married you.
I love you.
Your just absolute concern for others and your care for others, like it is your greatest quality. But it also can be a detriment, right? It also 100% can be a detriment when you worry so much about what others think. And when people hire a coach, they don't want a cheerleader. Yeah. You can find cheerleaders anywhere. You say this to me all the time. You're like, babe, I like talking to you about business and business ideas, but you're always like a yes guy. You're a hype man. You're always like, oh man, babe, that's the best idea I've ever heard. And you're like, no, I just made that. I pulled that out of my butt. Like, I just made that up, dude. It was a horrible. I was just testing you. And I'm like, oh, well, babe, the way you said it sounded incredible.
Like, no, you need to
I don't want someone who's just going to coach me and hype me up and rah, rah, rah. Like, I want someone who's going to beat me down and,
for the betterment,
mold me and forge me into something better. Right. Yeah. And I know I'm not going to be forged and molded unless I go through the fire. Like I got to go through that. to come out better.
That's really interesting, because those are the coaches I go after, right? Every coach that I've hired, I'm like, no, I don't care if you tell me. I don't care if you hurt my feelings. I need it to be hurt, because in order for me to get better, I have to know what I'm doing wrong. And I that's why I'm paying you. So I don't know why sometimes that does not transfer over.
So good.
Hurts so good. Like, seriously, tell me what I need to do. I want to be better. So that same thing has to come over to me too, in terms of how I coach. And I've gotten a lot better. Like, I've been able to tell some clients, like, that was a dumb idea. You probably shouldn't have done that. And they're like, oh, and I'm like, I said it. That's what you hired me for. So yeah, lack of confidence. Don't let that stop you. Don't let that stop you.
Another factor that can go into a lack of action or inaction can be external obstacles or limitations, right? Like limited resources or lack of support, logistical challenges, right? When individuals perceive significant barriers or constraints, they can find it difficult to take those next steps.
Legit. I want to know, when we say external obstacles and limitations, my first instinction, my first thought process, my first visualization was someone who maybe, lost their job, is on food stamps and whatever. And then I realized, and I think it's funny, I talk about my Facebook all the time, because that's really where I hang out. I made a post a couple years ago about this, because if that's you, this podcast is not for you, right? And I'm not being like classist or anything, but you have a lot of things that you're having to go through that you simply need to get yourself on a place where you have solid ground before you're able to put some of the things that we're asking you to do, put that to work. You can totally do it, but you have other things that you have to overcome, and you might need other types of supports. One of the things that I said in this post was that many times people think helping people with their budgets is only for people who don't have money, which is completely and utterly false. I want to work with, this podcast is for people who are making money and have a legacy mindset, and have a mindset of, I want to change my community, my family. I want to change generations after me. Like, they are legacy focused, but the things that they're doing with their money right now, the mindset of their money right now is not conducive to that lifestyle. Therefore, working with me, working with us, understanding how to communicate with your spouse around finances is only going to help you get to that legacy goal even faster, because you have really good aligned understanding of your finances. So those obstacles for that type of clientele is going to be different, right? The obstacles or limitations, I feel like in that regard, are going to be all in the head. Would you agree? Or do you think there are other obstacles?
I think there is a resource that everybody hands down wants more of, and they can never get enough of. And that resource is time. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people, an obstacle for them and a reason for their inaction is I don't have enough time. I need more time. There's not enough time in the day. My business is thriving. I'm making multiple six figures, but all day I'm on the phone with clients. I'm, going from point A to point B to pick things up for my job or for my family. Like, I just don't have time to take those next steps. And if you're that person, then you need to buy yourself time. Yes. You need to outsource, right, and hire people to pick up you and your family, or to do your laundry, and a lot of people are like, oh, well, that's bougie, or that's buying you time. Buying you time. That's allowing you to have more time, right, for your business or to be with your family. So if time is an obstacle, you need to find a way to make time more of it, because it is finite, right? There's only 24 hours in a day, and everyone's life has a deadline. Sorry to say that, kind of morbid, but it does. So you need to find a way to make the most time out of every single day. Maybe that means you're waking up earlier. Yeah. Or maybe that means you're staying up later. Mm-hmm. Or maybe that means you're outsourcing to make more time during the day so that you can get things done for your business or during to be with your family. Right. Right. So for a lot of people, that's something that inhibits them from taking action. Yeah. Is they just don't feel like they have enough time. And how do you create all those things that you mentioned? The outsourcing uses liquidity. Like, you need money
in order to be able to create that space to have more time. But it goes all the way back. But if you don't know where your money is going and you're feeling so overwhelmed with that on its own, and you don't have a team of people to support you, and you haven't outsourced that to be able to make sure that you're a good steward of the money that's coming in, do you really think that you're going to reach those goals smoothly to get to that legacy building or whatever? Like, no, you're not. Because it's going to be really hard for you to outsource that. But understanding your finances gives you the ability to say, I can outsource. I can do this. I know I can live on X amount and I can outsource the rest of it, which gives you more time to then build that legacy that you are trying to build, gives you the time back with your family, which is priceless. And it is worth it to do that. But because we are so focused on these limitations, these obstacles, we've created ourselves a box, basically, you know what I mean? A trap, a prison of like, I worked so hard building this business and I thought I'd have more time at this point, but I'm still feeling like I just created my own, I'm not in the corporate rat race, but I created my own internal rat race where I'm constantly in the space. That's not what you wanted. Yeah. So don't let what's going on in your head and your lack of outsourcing, the right outsourcing, keep you from living the life that you desire.
So the whole point of this episode of the podcast is to tell you to get to work.
Yeah.
There are a number of reasons that we're going over that you might be experiencing inaction right now and you're kind of stagnant and you're not taking that next step. The final point that we want to make is maybe you're just in a comfort zone right now, or maybe you're experiencing complacency. You're like, I'm good. Like I'm comfortable, and we don't do comfortable here.
Yeah, that's a bad word.
Right, because
unless we're talking about
when
cozy blankets.
When you start to get comfortable, you tend to end up broke. Right? It's the people that are experiencing discomfort in their business, or that uneasiness. Those are the people that are, because what's happening is they're experiencing change, right? Change is not comfortable. But when there's no change and you're stagnant, that's when you start to experience that comfort. And people that are experiencing change are experiencing growth. And they're going through those growth pains, and their business is growing, and they're excelling, and they're thriving, and they're really pushing for that generational wealth, right? People that are comfortable, like, I've got my job and my wife has her job and we've been working it for like 10 years. And, it just kind of is what it is. We're happy with it.
We're comfortable.
We pay the bills, and,
we go on family vacations. If you're
satisfied with that,
years.
I'm not telling you that you're wrong. Yeah. It's okay if that's your happy and that's you're comfortable, like cool. But we're talking about taking action.
Yeah.
And if you're looking to take action, comfort and complacency might be causing you inaction.
Yes. And that doesn't mean that you can't have moments in time where you're like, wow, things are doing really well. Let's just stop and smell the roses. Absolutely, you should do that. But we're talking about leading you to being unable to move, right? Too much of one thing is never a good thing.
Let's just talk about how many clients you have where one spouse is like, I want to shake things up. Like, I want to know this money thing. I want to know about my business incomes and outgoings. And then the other spouse is like, whoa. We got a good thing going here. Like we've been doing pretty well. Like we've been married for like 5, 6, 7 years or whatever. And we've never had any major issues. Like things like we're good. Things are awesome. Why are you trying to focus on this money thing now? Like, why do you feel like you need to hire this coach to take care of all this? Like, why don't you come talk to me? Like, we're good.
Yeah.
Right. And it's one spouse is kind of in that complacent comfort zone. And the other spouse is like, no, like I'm tired of being comfortable.
I have
I want to be uncomfortable. Like I want to change. I want to grow. I want to thrive. I want to be successful. Like I want to know this. And it's cool if you already know this, but I want to know it with you. And the way you're trying to tell me and teach me ain't working. Like I got to hire somebody.
Right.
And then we can grow together. Like we can do this together and we can go so much further than we ever could with just one person pulling the weight.
Yeah.
So I think you see that all the time with your clients.
All the time.
With one person being in a comfort zone and the other one not.
All the time. And it's not that they don't have dreams or goals or whatever, but they also don't want to move, right? They have dreams. Like, yeah, I'd love to do that one day. Oh, I'd love to do that one day. Oh, yeah, sure. I'd love to retire early and, be home with the kids or whatever. But then they don't move. And so you're like, this is your opportunity. We want to learn how to do this. So you got to move. And they're like, no, I don't want to do that. Like, it'll happen when it happens. 20 years later, like, you're still in the same spot. You're still in the same lazy boy. You know what I mean? Like, nothing has happened. So you have to be willing to take that risk, right? And so you can't stay in that comfort zone and that complacency of being like, okay, well, I got a raise and I guess this is it, whatever. We'll go on a family trip once a year and it'll just be fine. That's fine. Like, no. I mean, I'll say this, the power couples that we're talking to, that ain't good enough. So get out of your comfort zone if that's where you're finding that you're kind of setting yourself there.
Right.
Because it's time to move on.
Absolutely. And the only way to break out of inaction is to be able to recognize what's keeping you from those actionable steps and actively working towards overcoming them. So you might have to set clear goals. You might have to break tasks into smaller, more manageable steps. You might have to build up some self-confidence. You might have to manage your time more effectively. You might have to challenge those limiting beliefs, right? Taking those small actions and gradually increasing momentum can help you overcome the inertia that you're experiencing and lead to more meaningful progress.
I like that you said, like making sure that you are aware of it, right? The last thing I want, and this has happened a couple times too, where I have clients who come to me who are just like, I guess this is the next best step I should take. And I go, nope, sorry, this is not the right fit for you because you don't even know. You don't even know what you need. And so anything that I tell you is just kind of like, again, information, knowledge, and it's just like, oh yeah, that sounds like a good idea. But I want to look for or want to work with who get the best results, action takers who are aware of, I need help. I have been procrastinating. I have been comfortable for way too long. And I know that I have a bigger goal for myself and for my family and for my business. And it's just not there. I know I need help with understanding how to save consistently. I know I need help with making sure that my mindset is right when it comes to my spending. I know I want to go on several vacations a year. And I don't know, like I'm making the money, but I just can't seem to figure it all out. How do I so you already have pinpointed everything that you want to shift. That to me, I'm like, you are aware of what you need to fix. So you will get value out of the coaching you get from me and you will see the results quickly, as opposed to someone who comes to me and they're just like, yeah, I just feel like I should probably do something with my finances. Have you really done the work to actually recognize what it is specifically that you need to fix? Because anything I tell you will just go one ear and one out the other. And it might be like, oh yeah, that sounds like a good idea. But you have to have some like, I'm ready to get to work, like that attitude. So I like that you said, setting clear, you got to recognize it yourself before you get to that point.
So as we're wrapping up today, Kim, give us a CTA. And I feel like you kind of just gave it to us. Like you got to have that end goal in mind of where you want to be and then recognize and become aware of what's key. So give us a CTA for today.
I love CTAs. Okay. So your CTA for today is, take some time within yourself. So this is really great. Go to a quiet spot. My favorite is to just go for a walk and find a park bench. But somewhere where there's not a lot of noise, where you can really just think about what you desire. Okay. What is your end goal that you feel like you'd like to have in your business or in your home or whatever? And if it's really hard for you to think 5-10 years in the future, think at the end of this year, at the end of 6 months, at the end of, whatever. Where do you desire to be? And what is keeping you from getting there, right? And be as specific and detailed as possible. Write down what your house looks like. Write down what your spouse is doing. Write down, write down every aspect of what's happening in your life and your business, and really be able to be detailed about that. And then you're going to be able to pinpoint the spaces that are not as great as they could be to get you to that point. And I guarantee you, one of them is going to be, I don't have savings. I don't have this. I don't have this. And I know if I had that, I'd be able to get to this point a lot faster. But I'm scared because you're going to go down this rabbit trail of oh my gosh, I really need to work on, this is really a part of it. And once you have, again, that drive of, I have this goal, but these are the spaces I'm missing, you're going to be able to then know what places to focus on to be able to start taking moves towards your ideal goal instead of staying complacent.
So get to work. That's the whole
Get
point
to
of this podcast, this episode. We want you to get to work. And that's what we're about to go do. We're about to get to work and go work on this pocket coaching. We're going to start drafting and developing our first few episodes of the 52. So that is our plan for today, for this afternoon. I'm going to go to the gym. So, hey, we're going to get to it. We're going to get to work. So go, guys. Get to work. Go live in love, walk in wealth. Take care, y'all.
Bye. Bye.